Thanks, guys. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for the Young Engineers Awards information session. We really appreciate everyone who's dialed in across Australia, New Zealand, and are here in person with us today at the new Becker office here at Wynyard Quarter in Auckland, New Zealand. So my name is Jackie. I'm the Yen Chair of New Zealand, and today I have a group of very talented and good-looking panelists to share some insight to help you with your submission. So I will pass it on to each panelist to introduce themselves very quickly. Let's start with you, Nero.
Hey everyone, my name is Nero. I'm a project manager at Turner & Townsend in Sydney. I am one of the members of the judging panel for both for all the categories this year. That is the Student of the Year, Graduate of the Year, Young Engineer of the Year, and then the Champion of the Year and the Graduate Program of the Year. And no, bribes don't work on me unless they're very, 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 very large.
Cool, I guess I'm next. Hi guys, my name's Jerry. So I'm a mechanical engineer at Becker. I'm in my 4th year, and I participated in these awards both last year and the year before. Last year in the Young Engineer of the Year category, and then the year before that in the Graduate of the Year category. So nice to see you all.
Hi, my name is Kimberly, and I must have been the year after Jerry did the Graduate of the Year, and I got the Graduate of 2024 last year. My name is Kimberly, and I am in Wellington, New Zealand, hence the virtual. And I work at AECOM doing building services, HVAC, and a bit of hydraulics as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Mario. I work as a graduate mechanical engineer at CIBSE in Melbourne, and I won the 2024 Student of the Year award and I think last year the application that I made last year was my first time entering into the competition. So I think I'm a fresh winner, so I'm happy to be here and give some thoughts to everyone to make the application stand out.
Great, thank you guys. So before we get started into this presentation, I would like to do an acknowledgement of the country and also a karakia as well. So CIBSE would like to recognise the traditional owners of the different lands, countries and places that attendees are engaging from today. I would also like to pay my respects to all elders, both past and present, and extend that respect to other Indigenous people who are present here today. E arara, e arara, e arara e te korero, e arara e te wainanga, e arara e te whakaro nui, e arara e te nako whakaiti, tuturu whakamoa kia tina. Haumie, huie, taikie. So I guess a quick refresher on who we are. I'm sure everyone already knows if you're here and attending this meeting, but CIBSE's, we're essentially the home of building services engineers. We've got a global membership of over 22,000 people, and we operate in close to 100 countries. Australia and New Zealand being one of the many regions. Australia has about 500 members, and Australia has about 5 chapters, and New Zealand has 3. And we have the Young Engineers Network, who's here to support all emerging professionals. We're hosting a lot of webinars, trainings, and networking events. So stay tuned and stay posted. I guess some of the things that we offer at CIBSE's, we obviously have professional memberships, a number of CIBSE societies and specialist groups, a lot of technical training guides. We have a number of ANZ trainings, courses that we will be operating, which I'll tell you guys about soon. We advocate building services within the ANZ region, and there's a lot of professional networking opportunities here as well. So if anyone's interested, there is an upcoming seminar series coming up called Building Performance Imagination to Reality. This is 5 sessions online, total of 15 presentations, 5 panel discussions, and it'll give you 10 hours of CPD if you were interested. Scan the QR code if you are. Another webinar series that we have is the Science to Standards. So yeah, if you're interested in some more CPD hours, this is something else to look out for. And some other training sessions which we have hosting in Australia online and in person in New Zealand. So mechanical, electrical, and hydraulics. The mechanical and electrical trainings are currently being adapted to suit the New Zealand market as well. So stay tuned if you are interested. And last little thing is, yeah, if you're in New Zealand, we have a social event next week. So come along for a pint, or just come for some networking. So time for the information session. This is an interactive session, so we strongly encourage everyone here to ask questions. If you're online, post it in the Q&A tab, or if you're here in person in Auckland, just raise your hand up. I do have a set of questions that I will be asking our panelists now. So first question is, what motivated you to apply for the CIBSE Young Engineers Awards? I guess first person, probably Jerry?
Yep. Okay. Yep. So yeah, I mean, multiple factors. So I think the thing that for me motivated me to apply was a few things. So first of all, it's a good networking opportunity. So the thing is, me, especially as a New Zealander, seeing this event and knowing that it allows us to also, they're willing to fly us out to Australia as well and meet the broader CIBSE community there was something quite appealing to me. So I guess networking was one. The second one I would say would be the ability to, well, I guess every year, the topic that the questions about for the entries is very kind of relevant to the industry at that moment. For example, 2 years ago, it was all about embodied carbon. Last year, it was all about AI and how that's emerging and how that might affect our, I guess, disciplines. So essentially, by researching and entering, even if I did not win or become a finalist, I felt like it was a good opportunity just to do a lot of research, and a lot of the trainings that you do maybe as a part of that can also contribute to your CPD anyway. So it's a win-win. Me? Kimberly, maybe?
Hi, yeah, I'll go next. So, I think my situation was a bit different. I just found out, I think, a week before it was due. So for me, it was some things like, oh, either do it now and go hard, or just see what happens next year and maybe like mentally prepare myself. And I think at the time I had enough I had capacity at work. It was kind of between projects at that time as well. So I was like, oh, this is actually like quite convenient timing. And I hadn't really heard much of it before. It was something that one of my seniors at work had recommended me to look into. So opened it up, saw what it was about. And honestly, what Jerry was saying was quite true to how I felt at the time. It's something that I hadn't really been doing at work, and it got me to critically think a bit more about the work that I was doing, because it's quite easy during projects to just get your output out and do the next task, learn the next task, and try to do it better next time, without kind of stepping back and looking at the whole picture and thinking about what the purpose behind it was. So I found that to be quite interesting, going through the application process and even looking into what it was. So yeah, that's what motivated me to apply. I genuinely did not think I would get as far as I did. It was just something that's like, oh, well, if I don't try, I'll never know.
Great, thank you. Mario?
Yeah, I think what motivated me to apply was several things. I first got the encouragement from my mentor to apply for these awards. He introduced me to CIBSE, and then I realized I had prior knowledge of the awards, but I think I just had the misconception that it was going to be very hard, or it was judged based on academic merit or something like that, especially when you say student of the year. But when you actually look into it, like Jerry said, it focuses on a topic that's very relevant to building services in that time. So I think being a student from abroad and looking for opportunities in the industry, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to get my foot in the door. This was another great opportunity, as most of our panelists said, to network. And that is what really motivated me to apply, what really made me go hard on the application. Yeah, and yeah, and honestly, yeah, everyone has like different reasons for applying for the award, and I definitely, if I get another chance, I definitely will apply for in the coming years. Maybe because every time you learn something new from getting from taking these opportunities, and I feel like this award just helped me learn more, and I'm very grateful for having applied for it.
Well, thanks, guys. That was very, very helpful. I guess the next question. The application can seem daunting. How did you set aside time to apply? Did you look for assistance? Yes, Jerry?
Yeah. Yeah, it is daunting. When you first look at the application, you see all the parts that are involved. So there's a written application and there's two parts to it. There's the video application as well. And they give you a question, right? And it's just super open-ended. You're like, oh, how do I even approach this? So my advice is don't take it too seriously in the sense that you read into the question far too much. The thing is, a part of the question is also, a part of what they're looking for is how you interpret the question as well as how you answer it in your own way. So uniqueness is one of the big criteria that the judging panel have. I guess how out of the box it is, how unique it is, that kind of stuff, at least in my years. So the thing is, yeah, I guess, yeah, try differentiate your entry that way. But in terms of, I guess, how I approached it term-wise and everything, so there's roughly just under a month or so until this year's applications close. And for me, I honestly just, I think I spent around this amount of time last year as well. And then similar to Kimberly, actually, when I applied for the grad one, I only started a week before the submission date. So I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying you guys definitely have enough time now. But what I did was when I started last year's one, I spent all my weekends doing it. So, relax, doing, I guess, your work and then your normal stuff after work during the week. And when it gets to the weekend, I spent a few hours set aside just to do some research, brainstorming, putting together an application, stuff like that. And it was usually near the end, once I was confident, let's say about a week out, that I had my sort of script and had my main points. Then I started pretty much every evening working on it a little bit. So you can dedicate, let's say, one day to scripting, one day to filming, one day to editing. And then before you know it, you're ready for your application to be submitted.
I might follow on from that. So it's really interesting hearing you talk about that because I can imagine the process as I was going through it last year and imagine what I was doing, and it's very relatable for sure. How it ended up going for me, again, might not be something I'd recommend, but last year it just so happened when I found out about it that I was in a different city visiting some of my uni friends. So I was staying over at their place and in a different office than I would normally be in. So since I didn't have much time, I did end up using some of my own time and quite a lot of my own time, but it was something I was passionate for. So it's not something that I would have kind of felt bad for doing. It was something I just wanted to research and like keep researching. So that's how I went about it, at least. And I found it was quite useful to get people's eyes over it. Since I was staying with some friends who had also done engineering, it reminded me of uni almost, when I would let them look through my my paper and ask them what their thoughts on it was, what they think I could improve. If they had any questions, maybe I should look into other things. It was, for me, I think I work best when it's like a collaborative approach and I can like bounce ideas off and it's like, oh, that's something else I can research and dig more into it. Definitely look at your resources. I think when I was looking into CIBSE, I was just doing a whole bunch of research. I think they provided some stuff online. I might talk about that more later. But yeah, for me, it was research, talk to friends, and try and find any time I could.
Cool, thank you. Mario?
Yeah, I guess it's a similar process. I, for one, wasn't working at the time. So as a student, you looking at the real world applications of AI in context to last year's question, I went to my mentor. I I did some research at first, and then I went to my mentor, asked him, is this approach right? Like, what any application that you've heard of that, maybe I could take inspiration from? When it comes to real world applications, what you study in uni and what you actually apply is sometimes different. So you can go to your mentors, you can go to people who've done engineering, definitely do that. Use the resources you have, like Kimberly said. And also, I guess my process was quite, again, like filming and yeah, taking the time to film the content that you wanted. And one resource that I would definitely recommend was Clipchamp, which I just found out was available on Microsoft, completely free, and it's easy to learn. And I feel like that really helped to really put my video together. I did it myself with like no prior video editing experience. It's that simple, and I guess like that's something I'm recommending to anyone who's going to apply. Don't think about After Effects or I would say Adobe After Effects. The complex software. Don't think too complex. Again, think very simple. There are resources everywhere. And for me, like when it came to filming, there were sometimes where I couldn't find the stock videos that I wanted. I just went to RMIT and recorded myself doing it. If I'm pretty sure Jerry and Kimberly and Nero saw my video at the event. Yeah, I literally recorded myself going into a room and doing the video that I wanted. So I guess like you can really do whatever you want, just be creative and it'll be very unique to anyone who's judging it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, for Nero, you got any sort of recommendations on how they could set some time aside to help with the application, find assistance?
Yeah, I think there's a common thread between all the responses so far where time pressure, of course, we're all busy. We've all got like assignments, we've all got deadlines to meet. But there's a bit of time pressure involved in most people's sort of responses, which is fine. But we have, a little while until the deadline. So I would recommend, if you haven't already and you're considering applying, go talk to like your manager at work, go talk to your lecturer, see what they think about your application. Kimberly, you mentioned, you alluded to this briefly, but get people's input on what you're putting together or what you should be putting together early. Like, get an idea, bounce it off them, whether that be a manager, a friend, colleague, classmate, so on and so forth, and build off that. That would be my recommendation.
Oh, thanks, guys. So next question. What part of your early career helped in the application process? Any particular projects? Starting with you, Jerry.
Yep. Okay. So pretty much for B, I think what I drew upon mainly to get my ideas was my own experience, and that was through project work. So say, for example, I had some projects where essentially I was doing a lot of clash resolution. So that was like at the tail end of most of the design stages, when there's your mechanical ducts, your pipes from hydraulics, maybe your cable trays from electrical, and they're all clashing, and we have to find solutions, right? So that was one thing which I found took a lot of time during design. So one of my ideas last year in my video, which was, last year's topic was AI, was all about focusing on how to actually, solve that issue. So how can we reduce it? So one of my ideas was sort of using AI to then, generate solutions in a smart and automated manner, saving us time. So it's things like that. I was drawing upon a lot of my experiences. Either think about throughout what you've done so far, what are either the pains that you've, experienced in your work so far and how those can be solved, or how can you introduce a gain? So let's say you have your processes as they are, but how can you just improve them anyway? So those are maybe some, pieces of, some things you can think about to generate more ideas.
Oh, thank you. Kimberly?
Yeah, so when I did the application, I was just at the end of my second year grad. So I had a year and a half, I think, of experience at that point. Most of that had been like when you're a grad, you're kind of still learning the technical side of it and still learning how to do the calculations, how to maybe if it's a construction monitoring, how to go to site, like do all the small stuff. So I think at the time my headspace was kind of at a lower level, and these questions were more of a higher level, which I found quite interesting. It's something that really touched on what I had been working on and gave it reason. So the projects I'd been working on that were relevant was construction monitoring for a defense base and a an airport decarbonization. And that was so key for this the topic I had last year, because it was talking about like how AI could impact it. And I really like to talk about the sustainability factor, because I feel like that's such a big point in the industry at the moment. And so I kind of talked to my senior engineer on that project and kind of asked her a few more questions, asked where the concepts behind our design came from, reasons behind it, some points that I could add, how maybe AI could even help with that, and what processes she had really struggled with, because the question was like, how could AI help? And the answer would kind of be those tedious tasks that we do quite manually, and like it's rewarding at the end if someone has to do it. Whereas introducing AI, maybe someone doesn't have to do it. If you have a process, you just need something to get at it. AI was the solution. So that was the project that really helped me at the time.
Oh,
And
thank
then yeah, sorry. And then I ended up like finishing off with some stuff on site, because there's the design side and then construction and operation after. But I think I'm thinking into like the answer of my of my submission last year. But yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for that. That was very insightful. Mario?
Well, because I was still in my third year of uni, I didn't have much early career inspiration that I could draw from, but I would say, sorry, you can definitely focus more on building services aspects in uni as well. For example, I had a research module, and then for most of the research topics that I did, I mostly based it off on HVAC solutions or building services. And through that, I sort of came upon the use of AI in a lot of solutions or HVAC equipment right now. So I think, yeah, to keep it short, definitely focus into building services while you're at uni. If you are thinking of applying for, or even if you're thinking about a career, yeah, definitely you can focus a lot on building services. And there are so many resources to draw from as a student if you don't have much of an early career experience. That would be my answer. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Mario. Nero, do you have any recommendation from a judge's sort of perspective?
Sorry, I'm on mute. There are a couple of points that I would want to touch on later as a part of the judging panel. But let me have a think about it, and I'll come back to it when we get to that question.
Yep. All right. Next question. What are some resources you found helpful in applying? Jerry?
Yep, that's a good question. So resources, I guess that can vary quite a lot in terms of which stage you're preparing for. So for me, I think one of the biggest tools is actually how you just plan everything and you coordinate all your ideas. So what I did was I used OneNote quite a lot. So if any of you have ever used Microsoft OneNote, essentially when you open a page, it expands infinitely in all directions. You can also use other platforms like Miro or stuff like that. And what I did was, let's say I had a one text box kind of area where I just brainstormed all my ideas and bullet points, just let myself go wild. It might not be relevant, but it could inspire another idea which is relevant. So I used an idea like that I used a platform like that, which I could then use. I then took different ideas, which I think were worthy, drag them, copy them to other areas, and then did sub-bullet points to expand them more. So I was able to drag and drop different, I guess you could say, ideas that related together into different groups. And then at the end, all I had to do really was just put them in an order, and then those became my arguments for my video. So I think any tool that you can use to actually help you prepare your, I guess, your script and your presentation in terms of how you present, the order that you present your ideas, I think is good. So that's organizational tools. Next, when it comes to actual preparing the content, resources I would recommend include things like the CIBSE trainings. If you go on the CIBSE website, there's or the YouTube channel, there's recordings of all the previous trainings, or many of them at least. So those can help give you ideas. And also just talking to the seniors and mentors. So I think Kimberly mentioned earlier she talked to some of her mentors and same with Mario as well. So I approached some of the people who are experts in, let's say, sustainability at Becker when I wanted to get a more sort of environmental perspective on things. So you can get their ideas as well. But yeah, that would be me.
Cool. Thank you. Kimberly?
Hi. Very similar to what Jerry was saying. Definitely use OneNote as well. That is my go-to. Started using it at uni and have not looked back since. It was really helpful. One, just like putting my ideas down, but also kind of collating all those resources I found online through the CIBSE website and YouTube videos, because I kind of would see them like tab after tab after tab, and like take in all of the information. But then I'll try to look for something. I'm like, oh my god, which tab was it? So when I like kind of took screenshots and like put it all down on the OneNote, I could kind of like visually link, oh yeah, this one was the one I was thinking about. Yeah, that was really helpful in the brainstorming side of it. And I think I remember last year CIBSE even provided some extra information on just AI in general. And so I looked into the resource they had provided to help me do my further research, and I found that was quite useful. And I felt like I could go on a tangent quite easily, so it helped direct my my stream of thinking to like one side of the answer for the question. Then when it came to filming, I had a few options. At the start, I was thinking of filming at my friend's house, who I was at the time. And then I realized, oh, I actually don't have enough time for it. And then I realized I had access to the office in Christchurch that I could go to after hours during the weekend. So I ended up doing that, found a nice backdrop, was very thankful there was nobody in the office, found some empty cardboard boxes and like put my phone up on the cardboard box. I think there were like 2 cardboard boxes on a high stool, and that was where the camera was, and my phone camera, and then I had my tablet below that with all of the script lines. And I was just reading it as I went, because I'd like written out this whole script, but I couldn't quite remember it. And so I realized that I could stitch this all together afterwards in what I found later was Canva, because I'd used Canva so much for doing just general posters and stuff for random events. And then I realized they actually had a video option as well, and very intuitive, completely free, and it made my presentation look so good with all the little graphics going here and there. So I realized I could use that, and I didn't have to film it all in one take. I think that was a big realization for myself, because I kept filming take after take until I realized I could just do it sentence by sentence, stitch it up all together. So, or paragraph by paragraph. So yeah, I think those were the main resources I used. Office Space when no one's around, Canva for video editing, and OneNote for brainstorming.
Well, thanks for that, Kimberly. Mario?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot, but so far, well, I would say definitely ask people their opinion. Honestly, your mentors, your friends, they're your go-to. For example, when I did the video planning, and that planning is very important, as Jerry and Kimberly both said, and I didn't have like experience, or I didn't have a knowledge of how to plan a script or a video. So you can ask anyone, like you can ask someone close to you. Like I asked my girlfriend, she was into YouTube and creating videos, and she just taught me like you just have to do like have this video and what you're gonna say next to it. Just plan it out so you can take snips of your video and stitch them together. And a great tool that I would recommend again is Microsoft Clipchamp. That is, I think, free for anyone who has a Windows laptop. And that is honestly very easy to use. They have stock videos, they have audio, so many things, so many resources that you can use to make your video better. Definitely give it a go. And in terms of locations, I would say if you're a student, definitely try going to uni, especially now because the application is due in a month. I would say definitely try now to go to uni because it'll be empty. It's dead. That's what I did when I just went to RMIT and it was empty. No one was there, and I didn't feel any, I didn't feel self-conscious about recording myself and speaking out loud because no one was there. And yeah, definitely use use as much of the uni space as you can, because what I learned, and again this is a useful thing, is go to CIBSE and check out the older videos that were there. That's something I did because I looked at all the winning videos and then which are available, and what you can see is they always change the background, or they always make it, the background is nice, it's green, it's always changing. And that's what I try to do. I use the aesthetics of RMIT, the backgrounds at RMIT, and I just changed my video every section that I recorded. I just changed the background, so it kind of gives like a nice feel to it. So I would say, yeah, definitely use as many locations as you can, especially in uni. You can use it. You can go anywhere in uni and record anything that is relevant for your video. Use CIBSE resources as well, and definitely give Clipchamp a try because it's definitely easy to use. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I guess next question now. What's changed
Sorry, I
since?
just remembered something that I thought I'd add before we go to the next question, if that's okay. So those were the resources I used, but I remember something that I'd read or like seen from, I think it was one of the information sessions actually from a previous year. Again, if you're watching this, you're already on top of it. You're watching an information session. But they had mentioned that she actually went to a company's marketing team and asked them for help, and they helped her. And I could actually tell watching her submission because their company has a very distinct kind of logo and different animations that they use. And looking at that, like, kind of gave context to how that was the case. She literally just went to a marketing team, and they were really open into helping her create that video. But yes, continue.
Sweet. Next question then. Right. So what's changed since in either yourself or the engineering field? Jerry?
Okay, let's see. So a lot of things are changing in the field of engineering. So I guess part of a lot of what we see is, let's say, the topics each year. So one year it was big data, as I mentioned 2 years ago. When I first started, it was the whole focus about embodied carbon as opposed to just operational carbon emissions. Last year it was about AI, and this year is about building performance. So all of these topics become more and more important each year, and I guess that's reflective of what is actually happening in the industry. So in terms of myself, though, yeah, I would answer that, especially after entering these awards. I think I've become better at, I guess, let's say, presenting points in a way that I think is more clear for people to understand. So what I mean by that is, I think most of us here had, let's say, sat in a lecture at high school or university, right? And the teacher just puts up some slides with a whole bunch of text, no animations, no nothing, and they just stand there either reading it or just talking. And the thing is, like, immediately, like, you're just lost. You're like, oh, wait, do I focus on the teacher speaking or do I focus on the lecture slides? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So from what I did was the focus on my video, similar to what Kimberly and Mario were saying earlier, was use a lot of the visual effects in editing software to try and make it a clearer presentation. So what I did was I just had a really clear background, And essentially, I moved around and I edited photos and videos in to support my points as I was going. So instead of, I guess, overwhelming people with a whole with a slide, sorry, with a whole bunch of information, I brought it up one at a time in terms of what's relevant. And because of that, I felt like I got my points across better. But this has also helped me, I guess, in my everyday, I guess, work now. So when I'm, let's say, in a client meeting, or let's say if I'm giving a presentation to my section at work, when I, let's say, create my PowerPoints and everything, I'm always, trying to make sure it's really easy to follow and no one will kind of get lost by either just trying to read it or just focus on me, or maybe just because they don't understand what's going on. I think, just making sure there's the clarity in my communication going forward.
Well, thanks, Jerry. Kimberly?
Yeah, what's changed since I've submitted? I am no longer a graduate, and I have been doing some professional work with increased responsibility. So I think that's been the major thing for me. That and it might have just been a natural change in my career as well, but after doing the submission, I started looking at my projects in a higher level and like trying to give meaning to it with an industry context, not just in the project itself. And then from that, I've also ended up having more responsibility in which that critical thinking was actually relevant and useful at my job. And so now I've been using that a bit more. So I think now that if I were to ask the same question again this year from last year, I'd have probably a different perspective on it. And I'm looking at the engineering field itself. I don't think I could say I'm quite new to it. So whatever's changed in the engineering field is just what I've been starting to understand. I think some deadlines for very, very old refrigerants have come up recently, but that's all I can think of.
Well, thank you. Mario?
Well, in terms of changes, I would say, yeah, guess after the awards, I stepped into an internship and I'm a graduate now. And definitely it's been very interesting and it's been, and it's a good change that I sort of wanted to embrace because you learn so much on the job and it's always interesting. Building services is always interesting. You can apply to so many different projects, and that's something that's really sort of like it's sort of, I guess, in it's made me more interested in building services, and that's like a big change I would say in myself. In terms of the industry, well, I have been exposed to it for a few months now, and I would say definitely there are more, in terms of the last year's topic, I would say they're embracing AI as well. So we hear whenever there are presentations from suppliers or manufacturers, we hear a lot about applications of AI in detecting motion or detecting if there's if there are any occupants in the room, or if how to save energy using AI detection, AI motion detection, something like that. So yeah, and yeah, it's definitely interesting to learn, and I am looking forward to learning more, actually. Yeah, looking forward to another change, hopefully.
Oh, thanks for that, Mario. That was very insightful. So next question, what was the most valuable bit of feedback you received during the process? Perie?
Feedback. I guess it depends which kind of feedback and at what stage, but I suppose during the application process, let's say when I was trying to find ideas for what I was going to do for my I guess video, I presented some of my ideas to various people, seniors above me, who I thought were subject matter experts, to see what they think, and they gave me feedback. So some of them were more like, okay, but is this actually relevant to what they're talking about, or how can you approach this from another perspective? How can we make it more holistic? So the thing is, I think one thing is make sure you take the feedback, I guess, with open arms. You don't have to always incorporate it because at the end of the day, it's your idea. But the thing is, it's your video. The thing is, yeah, I guess I did receive quite a lot of, I guess, constructive feedback, which was good. But then if we're talking about, let's say, the awards as a whole, yeah, I guess I think I got feedback from some of my peers about, having the courage to actually apply and get the recognition. So I think that was pretty good. And yeah, not really to say about that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Kimberly?
Hi. Following on from that, yeah, even just getting started, the motivation from my senior who recommended this to me, he literally was just like, give it a shot, and you never know what will happen. And even kind of what I ended up doing was preparation for maybe the next year's competition. And it never has to be the final answer. I think sometimes I can get right down to the details sometimes, but sometimes you just need to like put it down on paper, put something out. Otherwise, you will get stuck in your head quite easily. When I was practicing with my friends, I think the key piece of advice was to keep it structured, because while it's really easy to kind of go into that detail, without structure, it's really hard for the audience to take in that information. So yeah, I think those are the two key advice that I was given.
Oh, thank you. Mario?
Sorry. In terms of advice, again, I would say, yeah, take as much as advice as you can, and always, and like Jerry said, always receive it with open arms. Sometimes it can be a bit of an ego. It can hurt someone's ego when like someone is criticizing your work, but definitely take your feedback, take the feedback, and it's up to you whether you want to implement it or not. Sometimes, it's good to take perspective from an outside person, because they'll look at the video and they'll be like, oh, okay, like, but they might say, okay, this if I was watching this video, I would want to maybe see this effect, or maybe you could. One sort of feedback that I got was, at the end, maybe show the 3 points that I was trying to present. I know I spoke about it during the video, but at the end, definitely show it again, so the audience, again, you're bringing it back to the points that you covered. And another bit of feedback I got was, again, like from my girlfriend, because I was gonna do a presentation, like Microsoft PowerPoint, old school presentation with some good effects, which I thought was pretty cool. But no, I mean, in the end, your video it's actually a video. You have to present it with a unique point of view. So I had this idea in my head to do a video, to record myself doing a video, and to present it, like not to be just in a presentation. I wanted to present the video. I wanted to be in the video. And listening to that feedback, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Because sometimes you might think, oh, I don't want to do this. This is gonna take a lot of time. But no, sometimes you just have to take that advice and just go with it. Because deep down, you might want to do something like that. It's that you're just like holding yourself back. But no, just take the feedback. And if someone is really telling you to do it, you should go for it. Yeah, that's the main thing I can say.
Great. So one more question for our panelists before I go to the judges' questions. So we've got two newer categories that debuted last year and are back this year: the Young Engineer Champion of the Year, an award for senior individuals in an organization who do good work in advocating for younger engineers, and Graduate Program of the Year, an award that recognizes graduate programs that do serious work in improving the skills of these new graduates. How would you go about suggesting these awards to your organization? Would you approach the office manager, HR, training coordinator? Gary?
Yep. Okay. So yep, we two categories were mentioned. One was the Graduate Development Program of the Year. So I think it depends as well whether, like, I think things to consider whether you want to nominate it or not is it also depends on your company, right? Some companies are very big and building services is only one section, so you have to take that into account. Some you might be from a company that's more building services specific. Either way, I guess at least at some of the bigger companies, you tend to have some sort of director or advisor who usually runs the graduate program. So I would say that would probably be the first person I would contact if I want to recommend a program, for the nominate, I guess, the program for my company for the category. And also, usually there might be some graduate representatives. So let's say second year grads who might be helping the company run I guess, the program itself. So we could also approach them to talk to them about it. For the second category, which is the champion of the year, if there's someone who I think is worth that, I guess, well, someone who I want to nominate for that category, I think, first of all, I'll just go up to the person and just say, hey, well, first of all, I'll probably book some sort of meeting with them to sit down in a room and just say, I think this would be a category that fits very well for you, for this reason, that reason, this reason, and I guess see if they are willing. Always, you got to get their permission first, but that's what I'll do.
Oh, Kimberly?
Honestly, pretty similar answer. I think you covered everything there. For the champion of the year, I think that's anybody who's really helping young engineers like myself, specifically in the building services area. So that's someone that you would probably be mentored by quite a lot. And so just talk to them directly, see if they're interested. And then for graduate program, reach out to whoever's leading the graduate program in your company. And if you're not too sure, if you're a bit scared and not too sure who that is, or if there isn't even a set graduate program in your company that you've joined, talk to your manager and see if there's anything that they would be keen to do that in that space.
Thank you. Mario?
Yeah, I think similar to what both of Kimberly and Jerry said, definitely approach the higher ups or like the manager or someone who is looking after the graduate program. Also, it depends on the company. Like Jerry said, if that company doesn't have a graduate program, then I mean, if they do take graduates, for example, CIBSE, my company, they don't have like a set graduate program, or they just look to get an internship and then intern and then slowly transition them to a graduate. So when it comes to things like that, if you're confused, just talk to the boss or talk to the manager and just see, what can be done. And for champion of the year, yeah, definitely it will very well relate to someone who's mentoring you, someone who's mentoring the graduates. Definitely talk to them, because I mean, at the end, they deserve some recognition as well, because if you're being mentored, you know how much effort they're putting into you. So they definitely deserve some recognition, and yeah, definitely approach them and see. That's my answer. Yeah.
Great, thank you. That's very insightful. I guess time for the questions for our judge, Nero. So for the judge on the panel, what really makes an application stand out from the rest? Are there specific elements you look for?
I'm happy to answer that question, but just quickly, has there been any questions from the audience? Anyone who's got any curious queries for us?
It doesn't appear so far.
No? Okay, my bad. Your question on what makes the application stand out. There's two parts to the applications, the written and the video component. Both have their own rubric, and I understand that as part of the awards submission page, that sort of rubric is explained. But like outside of that, when we're looking at the each of the categories, we're really looking at how well considered each of the responses are. We're looking for like innovation in what you're doing in your day-to-day work, the amount of consideration and thought you put towards your application. Even though it sounds fluffy, it does kind of stand out. Another big one is that in the video submission, especially, the amount of clarity you're able to represent through clarity you're able to provide to whatever topics or ideas that you're sharing. Again, sounds fluffy, but that depth of knowledge really does come through when you're talking about a project you worked on, or how your studies have related to the question and how you're implementing those, or how you see the direction of the industry going. With building performance as a key topic this year. So really having a deep understanding and being able to put that in paper, being able to present that verbally and visually, makes your application really stand out.
Cool. Thanks for that, Nero. I guess next question is, what advice would you give to someone who is hesitant to apply because they feel their experience isn't enough or they're too early in their career?
I got news for you. These awards are for people who are early in their career. So if you're thinking that, it's for you. These awards are for you. There's with these awards, there's no such thing as feeling that you don't have the knowledge or you don't have the experience. The way you work through your studies for the student of the year and the projects you work there, the stuff you do with internships, the stuff you do as undergrad or as a new graduate or early in your career, it all works. It all applies to what we're looking for in these awards. So, like I said, if you're feeling that you're too green for these awards, congrats. You're the exact people we're looking for to apply.
Can I add something as well? So yeah, just from, I guess, a previous applicant's perspective. So yeah, I definitely felt a lot of, I guess you could say, unease when I first looked at it. I looked at it and I was like, I'm only like 2 years into my career. Like, how am I supposed to answer these questions? And like, what am I even worth? So the thing is, I think my biggest advice is look back at what you've actually done in the past. And sometimes you'll be surprised what you can actually use. So for example, some of the questions, I think the written application, that is, they delve more about, let's say, how have you been an ambassador, I think, for the profession of building services. And let's say you've helped out at some of your university's school fairs, and you've kind of helped talk about building services and bringing kind of raising awareness of it to those kind of audiences. Or say, for example, you have been a graduate representative for your graduate cohort at your company. Let's say you might have arranged a site tour for them or something like that. Just something to help also raise the awareness of building services to them, and how that's been, I guess, how that's integral to the company as well and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that you can kind of dig in and see that actually it's somewhat relevant, and you can apply that to what you've done. Or if you're still in uni, a lot of our engineering degrees have fourth year projects or final year projects, essentially, where you do some sort of research. My one just happened to be a more fluid mechanics type one. And what I realized was it was actually very applicable as well. So my one was all about isolation rooms, and that's related to, I guess, HVAC and building services for hospitals. So yeah, just look back at everything you've done, and sometimes you'll find some golden nuggets. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jerry. That was very, very insightful. I guess another question to everyone on the panel. Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your application process, knowing what you know now? You, Jerry?
Oh, so I think, yeah, starting early would be good. But the thing is, I think right now is actually a very good time to start, even though it's just under a month until the submission itself. If you start too early, sometimes you might have analysis paralysis. You jumble around too many ideas. You spend too much time on it. But now that there's actually a bit of a time crunch, then yeah, I would say, just start now. But make sure you space things out and plan enough time for each step.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, Kimberly? You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, timing. Definitely not have left it as last minute as I did last year. And I think because I had it a bit last minute, I did reach out to some people, but I'd maybe reach out to more people and ask more questions about projects I wasn't too sure on, or the high level reasoning behind it. And yeah, those would be the two ones. Oh, and also the one I mentioned before. See if my marketing team is keen to help. I am not actually too familiar with them, but this could be a nice opportunity to do some networking as well within my organization.
Cool. Thanks for that. Mario?
To be honest, I haven't thought about the question as in what I would have done differently, because I feel like in a way I sort of gave it a good shot. And yeah, I feel like in terms of maybe knowing what I know now, my topic was based on a BMS and how AI can improve it. And I think knowing what I know now, working in the industry, I feel like there's a lot more to a BMS than what I initially thought. So I feel like that is something I would look to I would have maybe if I had known more, I would have understood it more, or maybe there would have been concepts that I could have applied to my topic. But overall, I feel like I gave it a good shot. Yeah, I feel like yeah, sorry.
Cool.
Mario has no regrets about his application.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
All right. I guess our final question before we close off this information session, it's what's one key takeaway or piece of advice you hope our audience leaves with today regarding their own professional development in engineering? Yes. Perie?
Stay open-minded, always keep learning. And I think that's why even a lot of engineers, right, we have to keep up CPD. You'll never stop. Things always change in industry, things always advance. So yeah, keep learning, keep entering these awards as well. They're very good, I guess, in terms of keeping you up to date, researching relevant topics.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Yeah, staying curious for sure. I think this really gave me the chance to take that step back, look at what I've accomplished, look at the meaning behind it. There's never really a good time when projects keep coming to take that step back. So use this as an opportunity to put it all together. And what I really enjoyed was making that video, doing something creative, something very different to what we do in our day-to-day life as well.
Oh, thank you. Mario?
Yeah, similar to what Kimberly and Jerry said as well, just be curious and always take feedback, and always try to learn as much as you can from what you're doing, from your mistakes, and just always have that habit of you're never gonna stop learning. So always keep learning. I guess that's what I would say. Don't think you know everything, because most of us don't, and we're always learning. Yep.
Oh, and lastly, Nero.
I'm a big proponent of, good engineers being a mix of two things, like being good at really good ideas and, understanding the technical aspects of it, and two, being a really good communicator. Those two things make you a great engineer. I think this is a great opportunity to practice the second piece, and get a bit of feedback, get a bit of practice in, and develop that skill even further. So give this a crack.
Cool. Thanks for that. I guess before we close up this session, I'll do one last karakia. Oh, wait, sorry. Yep, my bad. So the awards and applications are now open. The winner will get flown to Melbourne. The awards ceremony is at Ridges. And yeah, the winner gets a $1,000 cash prize. And the award ceremony is on the 23rd of October. And these are our sponsors, so this would not be possible without all the companies listed on the screen right now. And also, thank you for Becca for hosting the information session tonight.
If I can interject, sorry. I guess going back to the first question, guys, it's $1,000 cash prize. That should be your that's your motivation. Yeah, definitely.
For those of you in New Zealand, that's 1,000 AUD, Australian dollars, so that's even more New Zealand dollars.
10%, right, guys? We're in a recession right now.
I got to see quite a few musicals in Sydney while I was up there.
All right, to close things off, tēnei te huinga o te tangata ka oki, tēnei te Māori o te wainanga ka moe, ko te nākau me te wairua kia wātia, ko te tinana me te hina no roa, Ia tā, whānau, haere mai te toki, humie, huie, taiki. Thank you, everyone. Hope you all have a lovely evening.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.